41 years ago, on the 10th of August 1978, my grandfather died. It was the biggest tragedy of my life. Eight years earlier, when I was 5, my father had left us, and my grandfather had stepped under the breach, so to speak. He had effectively been my father. My grandfather taught me many things. Between the ages of 5 and 13, he taught me the beginnings of how to be a man. I had to complete that journey on my own. He taught me compassion. He taught me how to think. He began to teach me how to debate. And he taught me how to be on the right side of history and on the right side of politics. He taught me compassion, socialism. He taught me how not to discriminate against others for trivial reasons like race or sex. He was in many ways a man ahead of his time, but also a man with his feet rooted very firmly in the past. He knew where he came from. He knew his heritage. He knew the working class story. And whilst he never really had the opportunity to teach that to me, he did inspire in me a passion for learning about where I'm from and about who my people are and where they're from. And yes, if that sounds tribal, so be it. But I do have a sense of who my people are. They're the working class. And I don't mean white working class or Christian working class. I just mean the working class. Because I'm a working class man. And I don't care if my next door neighbour is black or brown or yellow, or whether they're a Christian or a Muslim or a Hindu or a Sikh or an atheist or a Jehovah's Witness or a Catholic or a Protestant. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we share our struggle. Now that doesn't mean armed conflict. A lot of people like to pretend that anybody on the left wants an armed revolution, insurrection. I don't want that. I'll tell you why I don't want that. It's because in any sort of revolution, the most ruthless tend to win. And I don't want a government of the most ruthless. I want a compassionate government. That's why I'm a socialist, because I believe that people deserve opportunities. I believe that every generation should have the opportunity to better itself, especially those generations of people who live their lives at or near the bottom of the economic pile. One thing my grandfather taught me was that education is the key to raising yourself and your family and your children and your grandchildren. Every generation should strive to help the next generation to be more educated than it is itself. That's why my grandfather got a trade. My mother became a teacher. I got myself a postgraduate certificate. My sister got a degree. I want my children to do better than that. Because that's how we lift ourselves up. But we don't lift ourselves out of the working class. This isn't Blairite nonsense where everybody can become middle class, because of course everybody can't become middle class. What Blair suggested was that some people could lift themselves out of the working class, and those that didn't, he didn't care about. That's not the socialism that I grew up with. It's not the socialism my grandfather taught me, and it's not the socialism of people like Jeremy Corbyn. We're not into climbing out of a mire and leaving the rest to drown. True socialism is about lifting everyone together. It's not about levelling down as the liars like Nigel Farage and Jacob Rees-Mogg and Boris Johnson would have you believe. It's about levelling up. And there's a fine tradition of levelling up. In my hometown, the Conservative Club is built on the site of an old church, and it's surrounded by graves and gravestones. Many of those graves are from the 19th century. They're from the Industrial Revolution. We see graves of infants. But these aren't the infants of the wealthy. These are the infants of working people who had to strive long hours in mills, in factories, in mines, often abandoning their children. A few miles up the road, in a town called Whitehaven, there is a tradition that mothers who used to go and work all day used to put their children to sleep with gin, because if they were asleep they wouldn't harm themselves. The fact that they developed major problems as a result of the early introduction of so much alcohol tends to have been washed over. That's the squalor that my people lived in not so many decades ago. We're talking 150 years, 15 decades, less than 2 lifespans. We've come a long way, and we've come in that direction because of working people who were able to join together and lift everyone from the levellers and the Chartists, yes, even the Luddites. Go back to the Tolpuddle martyrs and then start counting forwards until eventually you get to universal suffrage for men. Then you get suffrage for women. You get the Fabian Society. Then the beginnings of the modern Labour Party. We have the trade unions throughout. And that's why we have things like meaningful state education, a welfare state, a national health service. That's why we have sickness benefit. It's why we have regulations around health and safety in the workplace. These are the fruits of the working class struggle, and it's all currently under threat. That's why I started this video channel. That's why I spend so much time wittering without knowing if anybody will see or even care about what I say, because I have to take my place. This is our Peterloo. This is our Industrial Revolution. This is our Renaissance. This is the turning point when we can either continue to develop into a new, fairer politics, or allow this relatively recent upsurge of neoliberalism to engulf all that we have managed to achieve through the generations and send us right back to where we used to be. We already have UKIP councillors talking about reinstating workhouses or removing suffrage, removing the right to vote from people who don't work, people who are unemployed, regardless of the fact they may have been employed all their lives and may only be unemployed now because of a political decision that removed the job that they've done for decades. None of that matters. People in 2019 are actually discussing removing the right to vote from people who have lost their jobs. This is UKIP. It might as well be the Brexit Party. They're the same deal, and let's face it, the Brexit Party is just Tory light. If you want to see positive change, when we get a general election, and it's coming soon, vote for the Labour Party, because there is no other party that is committed to the lives of ordinary people. I'm Stuart Sorensen. This is Left Eye View. Thank you for watching. If you found this video useful, or you've liked it or found it of benefit in any way, please subscribe to the channel, like the video and share it around. You would be amazed at how helpful that is for a small YouTube channel operator like me. Thank you very much.